Welcome the young minds of class 8th. I'm Nancy Bora, your digital mentor, and today we will be starting with Unit 3 Human Resources, Chapter 6 Human Resources. So let's get the ball rolling. Today we are going to learn about distribution of population, factors affecting distribution of population, population composition, growth rate of India's population, density of population, population change, and sex ratio. First, let us familiarize ourselves with some geographical terms. First, we have density of population. The number of people living per unit area in a region is known as density of population. Life expectancy. The number of years a person is likely to live is called life expectancy. Literacy rate. The percentage of the total population that is able to read and write is known as literacy rate. Occupation structure. The number of people within the total population engaged in a primary, secondary and tertiary activity is known as occupational structure. Death rate. The number of deaths per thousand population is known as death rate, and birth rate. The number of live births per thousand population is known as birth rates. Humans are the biggest and the most important resource on earth. Why do you think it is so? You have read about the natural resources of the earth. It is humans who use the natural resources to create an economy and infrastructure suitable for the development of the country. It is humans who build wealth for the nations. It is humans who have invented machinery and technology, and it is humans who have devised space exploration. How have humans achieved all this? It is their skill, talent, abilities and knowledge as well as ideas which are used for the production of goods, their distribution and consumption. First, let's talk about distribution of population. The way in which people are spread across the earth's surface is called the pattern of population distribution. The population of the world is categorized by uneven distribution. The spatial distribution of population of more than 7 billion people in 2011 and over the total geographic area 136 million square kilometer of land is marked by many contrasts. Area of Southeast Asia and Europe are more crowded. Few people live in deserts, forests and high altitude areas. 3/4 of the world population lives in Asia and Africa. 60% of the world's population stays in 10 most populous countries. Many factors contribute to this extremely uneven spatial distribution of population. Here is a graph of world's 10 most populous countries. Now, let's talk about density of population. The density of population is the ratio between the total population and the land area. The population density of a country of any specific region can be calculated by dividing the total population of the country by the total geographic area of that country or region. The density of population or the number of people living per square kilometer can help us to know the pressure of the people on land. The world's density of population is about 50 persons per square kilometer. Though the actual distribution is very complex, we can divide the world in 3 parts to study the distribution as per the density of population. First, let's connect to geography. Areas of high population density tends to be located between 20° and 60° north. This area contains a large land area and a relatively temperate climate. The densely populated areas are the fertile river valleys and the industrial regions. The most crowded parts of the world are South and Southeast Asia, Western Europe, Northeastern North America. The most crowded parts of the world are South and Southeast Asia, Western Europe and Northeastern North America. These areas are rich in natural resources. If you study closely, you may notice that almost every country has pockets of high density. The sparsely populated areas are the hot deserts, very cold polar regions, sandy and rocky deserts, and the equatorial forests. The climate conditions in these regions are not suitable for economic activities. Some people have settled in those areas where mineral and power resources are available in large quantities. Here is an image of densely populated area. The moderately populated area are the deltas of rivers, central parts of USA, temperate forest in Eurasia and Canada, tropical and temperate grasslands, and parts of Australia and South America. The moderately populated area are not found as a continuous region. Most of the people have migrated in these areas due to favorable environment for economic activities. It is noticed that more people live in those countries which are in the northern hemisphere and those in the southern hemisphere. About 60% of the world's population is in 10 countries, that is China, India, USA, Indonesia, Brazil, Pakistan, Russia, Bangladesh, Nigeria and Japan. The total population of each one of them is more than 100 millions. Here is an image of moderately populated area. Now, let's talk about factors affecting distribution of population. There are several factors which control the distribution of population. No single factor can control over population distribution. All the factors work in combination to control population distribution. First is climate. Regions which have extremely cold or hot climate or have less rainfall are thinly populated. Example, Sahara Desert and polar regions. In India, very few people live in Rajasthan due to very hot and dry climate. Regions which have monsoon climate with abundant rainfall are heavily populated. Second we have is topography. Plains have the highest concentration of population due to flat topography, which is suitable for agriculture, industry and development of transport. Plateaus are less populated and mountains have lowest concentration of population. Example, Himalayas, Alps, Andes have very less population. In India, the northern fertile plains are thickly populated because of rich fertile soil, favorable climate and employment opportunities. Here is an image of extreme climates that are not suitable for the inhabitation. Third, we have availability of water. People prefer to living in areas where water is easily available. The river valleys are densely populated while deserts have sparse population. Fourth, we have fertile soil. Areas with fertile soil support a large population because the land is fit for cultivation. Example, fertile plains of the Ganga and Brahmaputra in India, Wangho Valley in China and the Nile Valley in Egypt are densely populated. Fifth, we have employment. Industrial areas provide employment opportunities. Large number of people migrate to these places from villages and small cities. Areas like Chota Nagpur, Mumbai in India and Osaka in Japan have high density of population because they offer good opportunity of employment in industries and other fields. Here is an image of habitation on plains. Now, let's connect to geography once again. By 2050, India is expected to be well ahead of China in terms of the size of its population because China is controlling its population growth effectively. It is expected that by 2030, the urban population of Asia and Africa will double. The urban growth will be led by smaller towns and cities. Sixth, we have minerals. Most of the industries are located in places where minerals are easily available. These places are more populated. Example, the states of Bihar and Odisha are thickly populated. Seventh, we have social factors. People tend to move to those places which have better education, housing and health facilities. Example, Delhi. Eighth, cultural factors. Places with religious and cultural significance have more population. Example, Varanasi, Jerusalem, Vatican City, etc. Now, let's talk about population change. The density of population keeps changing from time to time. The world population does not remain constant. The population change thus refers to change in the number of people during a given period of time. The world population has increased many times over the last few centuries. The population change is mainly due to changes in number of births and deaths. The population change was negligible in the beginning of human history, that is until the 18th century, as the birth rate and death rate were equally high. Due to unfavorable climatic condition, lack of medical technology, shortage of food, poverty, hunger and starvation, people were dying in large number. Thus, the growth of population was very less. Here is a graph of US Bureau International data. Here is a graph of US Bureau International Database World Population Growth. In 1850, the world population reached 1000 million or 1 billion. In the next 80 years, that is till 1930, the population doubled to 2000 million. In the next 40 years, the population reached 4 billion. At the beginning of the 21st century, the world population had crossed 6 billion. The sudden increase in the population was mainly due to advancement of medical technology and the reduction in the death rate. Availability of food and employment opportunities has contributed to an increase in the birth rate. The population change is determined by births, deaths and migration. Birth rate refers to number of live births per thousand population. Death rate refers to the number of deaths per thousand population. And migration refers to the movement of people from one place to another. Here is an image of population explosion. The difference between the birth rate and death rate of a country is called the natural growth rate of population. The increase in world population today is due to rapid increase in natural growth rate. First, let's talk about migration. Migration is another component which changes the size of the population of a country. There can be two types of migration, namely within the country or between countries. Migration or immigration increases the population while outmigration or emigration reduces the population. In some countries like the USA having large-scale employment opportunity, there are a lot of immigrants, while in some countries of Africa like Somalia and Sudan, there is less population as there is an outmigration of people. Generally, the outmigration takes place between developing and underdeveloped countries and developed countries, either for employment or education or better status, etc. Migration is mainly seen between rural and urban areas due to better amenities, employment, education and health facilities. Now, let's connect to geography again. Immigration means immigration of people into a country, while emigration means the outmigration of people from a country. Here is an image of migrating people. Now, let's talk about population composition. The density of population has a very little to do with its level of economic development. Thus, Bangladesh and Japan are densely populated areas, but Japan is far more economically developed than Bangladesh. To study this factor, we need to understand about their qualities. People vary greatly in their age, sex, literacy level, health, occupation and income level. Population composition refers to the structure of the population in a specific area. The different characteristics of a population in terms of age, sex, literacy level, health condition, occupation and income level together form the composition of the population. Under this, we can also study racial, linguistic, regional, social and cultural differences. An interesting way of studying the composition of population is by looking at population pyramid, as also called as age-sex pyramid. A population pyramid shows many things. Total population divided into various age groups, example 5 to 9 years, 8 to 10 to 14 years, etc. The percentage of the total population is subdivided into males and females in each of these groups. The shape of the population pyramid tells us about the people living in that particular country. The number of children below 15 years are shown at the bottom and indicates about the level of births. The size of the top shows the number of aged people, about 65 years, and even reflects the number of deaths. The population pyramid can help us to know the dependent population. There are two groups of dependents, young dependents that is aged below 15 years and elderly dependents that are aged above 65 years. Those of working age between 15 and 64 are the working population. Let's connect to geography once again. The educated, skilled and ambitious adults are an asset of a country as they form the economically active population. Here is an image of people of Kenya. Now, let's talk about population pyramid of Kenya. From the population pyramid of Kenya, we see that the base is broad and it tapers narrowly towards the top. The broad base indicates that birth rate and death rates, the number of children and the number of old people are less due to lesser dependent population. On the other hand, as there are few adults to economically active population which can contribute to the economic development is less. Now, let's talk about population pyramid of India. In case of the population pyramid of India, the base is broad, where the birth rate of young children is more than the death rate that leads to larger adolescent population, who are also the economically active population. Infant mortality rate is now controlled due to better health conditions, due to better health facilities. Here is an image of population pyramid in India, population pyramid of Japan, and population pyramid of Kenya. Now let's talk about population pyramid of Japan. In case of Japan, the base is narrow, which means low birth rate makes the number of children growing into adults less. As the death rate is also low, the old age population will be more. Now let's talk about sex ratio. Sex ratio means the ratio between males and females. It is shown as the number of females per thousand males. It gives an information about the extent of equality between males and females in a society at a given time. The sex ratio in India has always remained unfavorable. According to 2011 census, the sex ratio was 940. Kerala has a sex ratio of 1058 females per 1000 males. Delhi has only 921 females per 1000 males. Haryana has 861 females per 1000 males. The main reason for this inequality in India is preferences for the boy child, killing of newborn girls. In poor families, better food, health facilities are given to boys. Let's talk about growth rate of India's population. In census year 1901, India's population was around 23 crore. 110 years later, according to census 2011, it stood at around 1 billion, comprising 62 crore 37 lakh men and 58 crore 65 lakh women. Among all the countries, India's growth rate of population is too high. It means our country would be world's most populated country in coming years. So some stable measure must be adopted to check this growth of population. First is family planning. It refers to 1 or 2 children in the family. Care of the health and welfare of the family are easy in this type of family. The government must provide the small family norm to achieve replacement level of the total fertility rate. Here is an image of a school in Kerala. Development in rural areas. In India, most of the people live in rural areas. If villages are developed, people would not like to go and settle in cities. Beside agriculture, they should be provided other occupation. Also, modernization of agriculture is most important. Third, we have literacy rate. Kerala continue to have highest literacy rate in the country. Other state also must try to achieve high literacy rate because only through literacy, people can understand the importance of small family. Here is an image of a school in Kerala. Now, students, let's wrap up the session and see what we have learned so far. Humans are the biggest and the most important resource on earth. The way which people are spread across the earth's surface is called the pattern of population distribution. The distribution of population is influenced by topography, climate, fertile soil, mineral deposits, water availability, employment, etc. The average density of population is the number of people living in 1 square kilometer. Population growth is not uniform in the world. It varies from place to place. Sex ratio is shown as the number of females per 1000 males. Among all the countries, India's growth rate of population is too high. Our country would be the world's most populated country in the coming years. So students, that was it for today. I hope that you have learned something and we will meet in the next class.